What's going on, everyone? This is ODC. It's me, and I'm back with another action figure review. This is my review of the Star Wars Elite Series die-cast metal Darth Maul figure. That was a mouthful. I recently went to New York City, and apparently in Buffalo, I live in Buffalo, we don't have a Disney store anymore. So I actually went to New York City with my wife, and we did some shopping and some sightseeing and stuff. I've been there a bunch of times, but she's never been there. So I did go to the Disney store, and there was like 50 of these guys. So I know there was a lot of people online saying that these are going to be a limited release and you're not going to be able to find Darth Maul anywhere. Guys, I went to the New York Disney store, one of them, and there was like 50 of them sitting on the shelf with like 20 Kylo Rens. There was a bunch of I couldn't find any Flame Troopers, which I was really hoping to find. But maybe we'll get one in the Black Series, or maybe I'll get one down the line. These guys are a little bit larger than your Black Series figures, but we'll get to that. I'll show a size comparison in a little bit. But yeah, I think for the most part, this looks really good. Comes with this nice window box display. Looks really good. It says Star Wars The Elite Series on the bottom. It says Darth Maul. It says die-cast action figure. So there's a little bit of weight to these guys. It says Disney Store. It's pretty much exclusive to the Disney Store. If you don't have one in your area, these guys are still online for order. So on the back, it just says has a little read up of basically talking about the line itself, and then has a little read up of Darth Maul as well, which I wish we would get a little bit more of a read-up on the back for each character, especially with these new characters coming out, and after the movie comes out and they start releasing more and more characters. I wish they would start going back. Hasbro needs to get their head out of their rear ends and give us some sort of read-up on the back of these packages. It's just something that I always liked, and just something as a collector, as we all like. I'm pretty sure that it's not just me, it's everyone, would appreciate, a nice little biopic and a nice little bio of the character. I don't understand, like, you really need to cut that much cost where you can't even give us a read-up or a nice picture of the character. So I don't know, that's just my opinion. That's my little rant. I'll shut up now. Let's get Darth Maul out of packaging and we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back with Darth Maul out of packaging, and I gotta say, he looks really good. There are some problems, but I'll get to that in a minute. But overall, I can't say this is really that bad of a figure. As far as complaints, there are complaints. There are a couple, and they're not pet peeves. They are complaints. They are legitimate gripes with the figure, how it's designed, the articulation, stuff like that. But we'll get to that in a minute. As far as it's a really well sculpted figure for it being all pretty much, I would say 90% of this figure is metal, and there is some plastic pieces, but and that's part of my gripe, I would say. Maybe going forward they might want to add a little bit more plastic and maybe a little bit less die cast, because it starts to cause a serious problem. But the face sculpt overall, I think, looks pretty good. The horns look pretty decent. Now, while owning a die-cast figure, you really want to be careful, and I'll give you guys a couple tips in case you don't know too much about, your die-cast figures. You really want to be careful with your paint. So if you do display him, I would suggest that you do display him on one of his nice accessories, his display base, and you're probably going to be like, oh, it's kind of a bummer. I want to display him without the base. He sort of needs it because he has issues with wanting to topple over. And I just want to kind of point that out before I get to the lightsaber. He has a serious issue because he has plastic ankles, and I believe the joint is plastic as well. he's so top heavy, he wants to kind of put too much pressure on the front, and then he's going to eventually, boom, fall over. And the last thing you want to do is have him on a really hard surface. So if you do have him on something, maybe it might be best if you have him in a room where there's some carpet. So if he does happen to fall, he'll fall on the carpet and it'll kind of cushion the blow. If you got it if there's nothing you can do and you have him on a hard surface, I would kind of put him towards the back of the pack and maybe lean him up against something just to be safe. This is just my what's the word I'm looking for? God. My advice to everyone out there, my brain wasn't working for some reason, but that would be my advice. I mean, because if this guy does hit a hard surface and he does hit himself in the head or something like that, as you can see right here, there's already oh my God, I can't talk. There's already a paint chip right here on the shoulder, and that was just from me going like this. A die-cast metal, the paint's going to chip. That's the real problem with these die-cast figures. Sure, it seems really cool that they're die-cast and they're in 6-inch form, 7-inch form, whatever you want to call it. But the main problem is the paint falling off or chipping off over time. So, these almost might be more... I almost might recommend these more to the Min-On card collector. I mean, they look really good in packaging. The packaging is beautiful. If you're if you're not a Min-On card collector and you want to take these guys out of package, I would be very delicate with these guys. So that's just my advice to you. Talking about the lightsaber now, I will set him down and we'll get back to him in a second. He does come with 2 lightsabers that do connect in the middle, pretty similar to the Black Series. Now, I believe his hilt, I would say the hilt and the saber portion I might like a little bit better than the Black Series, just because it's a solid red and it's not a kind of translucent red like the Black Series had. I like the hilt better because it has a much better sculpt and a little bit better of a weight to it than the Black Series. I also like the color silver that they decided to go with, as opposed to the plastic gray that the Black Series has. So there's that, and they do, like I said, they just peg right in, and they actually is a sculpted shape, so they can only go in one way. So there's that. Unfortunately, the blades do not remove out of here, so that's unfortunate. I would have wished he came with even if it was just one solid piece, he came with unbladed hilt. So there's that, and then we have the display base, which I showed earlier, and it just says Star Wars, but it's really nice embossed Star Wars with a little bit of sculpting on these rivets all throughout the base. So it looks really good, I think. So, I mean, even if you were to just collect these and display them on the base, you could set them all up, and it would look really nice, I think. So those are the accessories. Sorry, I bumped the camera real quick there. As far as his articulation goes, his head does swivel, full 360 rotation. There is no hinge joint. He can't really look up and down. He gets a little bit of a jiggle. Don't even think about no jive turkeys up in here. No. His arms do go up about that far, and they do go down. He does have a full 360 rotation at the arm, a single bend at the elbow, which that one doesn't want to move. So there's this one, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty pathetic, if you ask me, the bend at the elbow. And he does have a wrist swivel, and that's pretty much it. He does have a waist swivel right here, and his legs do go forward. Actually, I'm going to have to pause this. My dog is acting up. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, gave him a treat, and now he calmed down. Good Oreo. Good Oreo. His legs do go forward. They do go back a little bit, not really so much. He does do the splits really well. I mean, look at that. I mean, especially with Darth Maul, you want him to be able to do the splits, so that's good. Unfortunately, no upper thigh swivel. He's just a sculpted one piece right here. He does have a single bend at the knee, which goes about that far. He does have a hinge at the ankle, which I would be very careful with. And he does have the nice ankle pivot, which are with the, you know, the Marvel Legends and the Black Series. And he does have one peg hole at the bottom of his feet. So, I mean, like I said, he's got decent articulation, and for being a die-cast fully metal figure, it's pretty impressive. But the thing is that the articulation and range of motion really suck. He doesn't have a bicep swivel, which I'll even give them that. Like, it's okay for that, but the fact that he doesn't even have a swivel at the elbow, he only has a swivel at the wrist. His wrists don't have a hinge either, and these are plastic wrists, as well as the plastic with the feet, which I don't really get why they decided to go with plastic, because it really causes a problem with him toppling over, like I said earlier. I don't mind that the waist swivel is even hindered that much. That's fine. I would prefer a better head, a neck hinge to get him to really, you know, look over, because when he looks over, it's just kind of like he, you know, it looks awkward like that. It just looks like his neck is broken or something. I don't know. It just looks awkward. With the legs are sort of a problem, because every time you bend the knee, you're chipping paint off. And I'll prove it right here. You can see the rubbing is chipping the paint off in the knee. So when you bend his knee, now you can see metal. That's the problem with a die-cast figure. It's just going to happen over time, especially if you keep moving him around and doing that. And I'll point that out again. That little chip right there. And I just bought this figure. The other problem is these rivets in the back are absolutely atrocious looking, and I don't understand why they couldn't just fill these in, because there's no need for these to be exposed at all. They're also exposed on the back side of his legs and his lower torso. So that's another knock against the figure. I would say the standing issue is a serious knock against the figure. If my figure can't stand, it's a fail. It's a failure. I said the same thing about the Son of Batman animated Batman figure. That figure is a total failure. It can't stand. If a figure can't stand, get it out of here. Throw it in the garbage, because it's worthless. That's just my opinion on the matter. That's the way I view it. As far as him standing, I feel like he's just going to have issues the more and more you mess with him. So, like I said, you really want to use this display base. But the problem is, when you use the display base, he'll stand. But then over time, he'll want to start drooping forward, which gets really frustrating. So there is that. I just wanted to point that out so you guys do know. But I would say overall, sculpt-wise, he looks great, especially for being a metal figure. I mean, it's tough to sculpt metal. It's probably a huge pain in the rear end to do. These figures do run a little bit more on the expensive side. I think they're around $24.95 online, and then you got tax and shipping. It's around $32-$34. When I bought this guy in New York, came out to $32 still. So they're a little bit more on the expensive side because they're using metal and stuff like that. So if they were plastic, they'd probably be around the $20 range, but they're not. So I would actually almost prefer if they go back to plastic and not use this metal, because then you would have they would have more of a budget to give you more articulation, even though they'd be out of scale. And I'll prove that to you that they are out of scale with your Black Series figures. Here's a First Order Stormtrooper, and he should tower over Darth Maul. Darth Maul is supposed to be short, and Darth Maul's actually taller than the First Order Stormtrooper. So they are out of scale, like I said. And I'll just bring in the Black Series Darth Maul. I don't have the Figure Arts Darth Maul yet, but I will be getting him soon. So as you can see, the paint is much different. I mean, it's apples and oranges different. So, and the size is a huge difference too. Also, the horns are a different color. These actually should be that color, but at least the horns are fully painted on this one, where this one has like red paint going up on the horn. It looks kind of bad and splotchy. The paint's kind of iffy. So, give and take. He does hold both lightsabers in both hands though, which is good. So, I mean, if you do, I mean, I don't know if I would pass on this, especially if you're a Darth Maul fan, but it does have its issues. And they're serious issues. So, I don't know. Would I recommend this figure? Yeah, if you're a Darth Maul fan. If not, pass on it. But it's definitely not going to be hard to find. So, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.